What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Shiv, and today I want to talk to you about a deck that, through some trials and errors and testing, that I finally found to be pretty damn good for grinding on the ladder. It is what I affectionately refer to as Return of the SMOrc. Now, like a lot of people, I realized that Hunter was going to be really strong in this expansion. I didn't realize exactly how strong it was going to be until Rogue became super popular, as well as Pirate Warrior, maintaining being the most cancerous deck there is. So I tried a lot of different variants and I tried experimenting around, seeing what worked, what didn't work. I tried the stubborn gastropod, that didn't really affect results overly positive. I tried adding um, Hunter's Mark, and it really didn't work out too well. Eventually, I came to this list kind of on a whim. I deleted all my other previous builds and then said, I'm going to start from scratch. Here's what I'm going to want. I looked back at everything I had played in the past few hours, and I said, okay, we're just breaking even or backsliding with every other option we're doing here. Let's see if we can completely target what we're seeing in the meta right now and see how well that does. And this is what we came to. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of a card review here, just, to give you an idea of why everything is in the deck. All right, so we're starting off with the Alley Cat. 1 mana for 2/1/1 minions is a pretty damn good deal. Now, remember, the idea of the deck is to apply a lot of pressure to your opponents. And since we are running, say, Mr. Knife Juggler here, things like Alley Cat make a lot of sense. Alright, Jeweled Macaw, great damn card. The fact that there are new beasts all over the class distribution as well as neutrals makes this card pretty damn impactful. I've pulled some great cards from other classes. I've pulled some great neutrals. I've even pulled some great cards from our own set to get some really good value. So Joel McCall is definitely putting in a lot of work, and it's probably one of the better one-drops you can open the game with. Normally, like mulligan-wise, Alley Cat or Joel McCall are almost the most preferential choices you can get. Next up, we have the Crackling Razor Maw. This card has so much functionality with so many different cards in this deck. I'm just going to say this. It's a little bit of a skill test, so figure out which combinations are going to be best for every situation and try to play to that. This card is definitely a more value-based card rather than a tempo-based card. So playing this on curve is probably not in your best interest. Playing this later on can have some really big impact. All right? Keep that in mind, guys. All right, next up we got the Galaka Crawler. Now, I know some of you are probably going to sit here and go, well, it's a tech option. Do you really need two? It doesn't really feel that good. I mean, on its own, it's just a River Croc. But if they have pirates, it turns into a total golem without the issue. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's 100% right. But the problem is, there's a lot of pirates still in the meta, guys. It really is. Pirate Warrior still around. Aggro Pirate Shaman still around. Druids are using pirates. Paladins are using pirates. Shamans are still using pirates here and there. So, I mean, that's like 5 concepts right there that are still using pirates that you can kind of counter the shit out of. Even some hunters are running pirates still, like a pure face deck. And yeah, this kind of shuts that down. And the reason why we have 2 is I'd rather have the consistency of shitting on pirates than just the utility of 1 card out of 30 possibly leading to some great advantage gain. So, yeah. All right, next up we've got is the Kindly Grandmother. It's a 2-drop, one of the best 2-drops, and I'm going to say right now, in Mulligan, it's a decent hold. Whether you have coin or not, it's a decent hold. This is pretty much your go-to 2-drop play. We're also running Knife Juggler, which makes so much sense when you consider we have Alley Cats, we've got Kindly Grandmother, we got 1 copy of Unleash the Hounds. Knife Juggler provides a lot of pressure onto your opponent's face as well as their board, to which your opponents are going to have to invest resources into dealing with Knife Juggler as soon as possible, lest he be allowed to just have free reign, constantly throwing daggers at your face, weakening you down, and just kind of playing exactly into the SMOrc life concept, all right? You never want to allow this card to live, which if you play it right, you can also ensure that this is exactly what you want your opponents to do. You want your opponents to kill this. That way it'll open up some avenues for other cards. All right, so next up we've got is the Scavenged Hyena. Again, going back to Alley Cat, going back to Kindly Grandmother, it only made perfect sense to have Scavenged Hyena. And as always, we have the Unleash the Hound, so you can get some really good value out of it. There's some really cool synergies with this card that we'll discuss later on. Animal Companion, pretty much a standard of almost every single hunter build, so yeah, made sense. Eaglehorn Bow, standard of almost every single hunter build, made sense. Kill Command, see previous statements. Unleash the Hound, see previous statement. Then we get down here to the Vicious Fledgling. Now here's where my own creativity really started kicking in. I got one of these in gold, and I looked at it for a long time and went, you know, I can make this work. And the initial idea was it was going to just be a turn 8 play to get like some instant value, hope for the Wind Fury, and then boom, 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 in combination with, say, the Houndmaster. And that turn 8 play just suddenly became, 8 damage to the face. But I quickly realized that this card had a lot of value in multiple different stages of gameplay, so to just only look at it as a turn 8 combination seemed very futile. And when I started experimenting around in different times to play it, I noticed that there was so much value that could be found in this deck. Most notably with the Crackling Razor Maw. Holy shit. Crackling Razor Maw and this on 5 can really lock down some inevitability of possible lethality. Not even kidding. So the idea behind that concept play is you play down the Vicious Fledgling, you play the Razor Maw, and you adapt the Vicious Fledgling before he ever attacks. Ideally, you want to get something like Stealth on it because it makes life a living hell for your opponents to deal with stealth minions, especially when he has 3 attack and you're on your turn 5. That's a really nasty thing for your opponents to deal with. Mind you, Warriors have Brawl, so keep that in mind. But yeah, this card has definitely put in a lot of work. You ask anybody who plays a lot of Arena, if this card pops up, they're going to take this almost every single time. It's a solid 3-drop that has so much potential value later on. All right, next up, we've got the Houndmaster. Okay, so the Vicious Fledgling gets a lot of value out of this. Pretty much every beast in the deck gets a lot of value off this. If you've already got like an established board and you have a Scavenging Hyena in play, this is a really great way of protecting it. You put the Houndmaster on one of your smaller minions, say like a Galactic Crawler, and all of a sudden you got a 4/5 taunt protecting your Scavenging Hyena, allowing you to grow it and get a lot of value from it. All right, Stegodon. I had a slot open, and some of the experimentation kind of led me in a direction where, Stegodon's actually not a bad card. It comes with a taunt, so I'm not forced to use Houndmaster on it. And if I do use Houndmaster on it, turning it into a 4/8 taunt is pretty damn good. It's really difficult for a lot of classes to deal with. So yeah, made perfect sense to me. Nesting Rock. At first I wasn't a huge fan of this card, but I quickly realized how much value I could get off of it, especially in this deck. There were many times where going into turn 5, I had like 2 to 3 minions on the board, so getting a Nesting Rock out right then was a huge swing turn. Matter of fact, getting a Nesting Rock out on turn 5 with taunt against Pirate Warrior is damn near an auto concede by them. I would say like 80% of the Pirate Warriors I've faced, whenever this came out on 5 and it had taunt, they just conceded. Serious as a heart attack, guys. All right. Next up, we got the Tundra Rhino. Great synergies with a lot of different cards in the deck. Leads to some combo burst damage potentials that I think works pretty damn good here. And last but not least, we got the Highmane. Truth be told, this was kind of a coin toss. And I was debating whether or not to put the Highmane in or just run a Hunter's Mark. I decided to go with the Highmane just because I was looking at the curve, and ending on 5 just felt a little meh. But ending on 6 felt a little bit better. And you know what? Highmane is still a serious threat against a lot of decks. Taunt Warrior is not a huge fan of them. Just going to say that right now. Not a huge fan of them. So that's the explanation of the cards. And now we're going to go to some synergy options here. All right. So obviously Galactic Caller, for its cheap cost, can be played down onto kill a pirate and so on. But now let's say you got the coin. Well, guess what? You got a 3/4 beast in play. You got the coin. You play down the Houndmaster. Oh, look at that. You now have a 5/6 taunt. Alright? That's pretty good. Pretty damn good, guys. And it will slow down a lot of decks. Other combinations, the Razor Maw plus the Vicious Fledgling. In a pinch, Razor Maw to unleash the Hounds to a Razor Maw, and then try to get a Poisonous in order to remove one big ass taunt to apply more SMOrc face damage. Yeah, lots of options there. Outside of that, Tundra Rhino has some pretty cool combinations. One of my favorites is obviously with the Vicious Fledgling to get some really good value out of it. I've had games where the Tundra Rhino came down on 5 and survived, and then the next turn I was able to play double Vicious Fledgling and just get some huge value. Imagine having 2 3/3s that charge your face or your opponent's face, and boom, that's 6 damage right there, and both of them get Wind Fury, right? So you attack again. That's another 6. And they get to adapt yet again. So taking a stealth or plus health or some divine shield, probably a good idea. It really is. Because when it all boils down to it, your job is to always bring your opponents down. Trying to build like these really solid boards that just are constantly expanding is not always in your best interest, especially with Warrior, especially with Paladin, especially with Mage. Always kind of keep track on this. You generally want to keep your minion count somewhere around 2 to 3 max on the board. As you start going to 4 or 5, you're giving them way too much value for AoEs and board clears. So, yeah. But I really do like doing some cool combo synergies with Tundra Rhino. If I could find a way of putting a second one in here, I would, but I don't really want to weaken the deck that much in order to justify it. And of course, the Highmane, he's just a solid card. Simple as that. Synergy's obviously turning him into a 8/7 taunt. Pretty damn good. Having Tundra Rhino in play and then throwing down the Highmane and just smashing into something and then trading off the remainders in order to remove it. It's actually a pretty effective thing. The only downside is it does not kill the Warrior 7-mana taunt. That's really annoying. But in other ways, this card is just downright a staple. I wanted to have 2, but I just couldn't really fill it into the design. Alright, so we've talked a lot about the deck, but I think it's time we take a little bit of a look of it in action. So we're going to be playing a clip from my stream earlier today where we were testing the deck and showing how well it actually could do. So enjoy.
Fly, Polly.
Thank you.
I'm in charge now. Greetings, traveler.
I wish this was the golden one.
I wonder.
Hey look, I got my own tunnel trog without a downside. It's good. It's all good. Now I'd love to get an alley cat here. Alley cat would be fucking legit. Right? Okay. Trade everything? I'm okay with that, bro. Cool story. Alright. This makes more sense. Nice. Really? Oh man, we booed the fuck out of him. Alright. It was at this point Jimmy realized he was fucked.
I wonder.
So, 4 mana plays. He doesn't have. There is one play, and that would be another Fiery War Axe, and plays down the 2/3 that grows, and it would become a 5/3.
now?
That would damn near require me to do something about it, in theory. However, I would just play the Houndmaster, buff that up, because that's going to be at a 4/3, and that's going to turn it into a 6/5 with taunt, and that 6/5 with taunt is going to go to the face. He would be at...
Fly, party.
Ooh. Alright. There's no way in hell he's going to kill that. No way in hell. Oh my god, this guy is fucking ballsy. Alright.
I'll let the dogs
Have fun!
Blood and plunder.
trust the pirate's code.
Cool. You still gotta trade a shitload. You still gotta trade pretty much everything. Wow, he's actually going to use his face here? Interesting. Right? Can't quite get through that, can you? Nope, you can't. Alright, so...
For the war chief!
Mm-hmm. So now he has to determine which is the better play.
My blade be thirsty.
Yep. Alright. So, if we get another Houndmaster, we play that, and we hope for the Wind Fury. Or, do we just do... I like this play here.
Well played.
Backslide, bitch. Deck works. Works pretty goddamn good. This is actually a pretty solid deck, guys. I highly recommend checking it out. It's a lot of fun. Gives you a lot of options, a lot of creativity, lots of room to maneuver while playing against some of the most toxic decks in the fucking world. So as you can see, the deck plays pretty simple. It's lots of fun. And it shits on Pirate Warrior. Now, in testing, it did well against Pirate Warrior. It did well against Rogue. Did well against Mage, for the most part. Secret Mages are a little bit of an annoyance for it, but it can navigate through it. Taunt Warrior, a little bit difficult, but can navigate through it. Um, Shaman. Shaman is either hit or miss. It all depends on how your mulligan's going to be. But for the most part, it's a pretty fair matchup. So yeah, against a lot of the stuff that's pretty current in the meta, it does pretty good. Now I will warn you though, the aggro druid is a little bit of a pain. Not gonna lie, that deck can just smork the shit out of you from like nowhere. So be careful. It's gonna struggle there, but you have a lot of taunts and a lot of ability of making taunts, so you should be able to get something going there. Alright, so let's talk mulligans now. For the most part, your mulligans are pretty simple. Alley Catch, Jeweled Macaw, depending on if you're versus a class that has Pirates, Galactic Crawler, Kindly Grandmother, great 2-drop to get. If you're getting Alley Cats and you get a Knife Juggler, might be worth keeping, but not so much. Scavenging Hyena, on the other hand, is a great one to hold if you have Alley Cat. Or if you have the Kindly Grandmother. You can get a lot of value out of that. So, yeah, that's pretty much the mulligan there. There's arguments for, say, Eaglehorn Bow and Animal Companion, but not overly too much, alright? Playing to these 1s and 2s here can do a lot of good for you moving forward while playing the deck, so keep that in mind. Well, anyway, guys, that's going to be all for this deck guide and review. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I hope you check it out. And if you do, leave me some comments down below. Let me know what you think. And as per most of our deck reviews and guides, there's going to be a link for this deck on Hearthstone down in the description section. So please go ahead, check that out. Send me a like and an upvote on it if you would be so kind. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, that's going to be all. So till next time, Shiv saying, stay safe, have fun, and may RNGs bless you. I'm out.